Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grapperinos, the wrestling pizzeria where we serve you a slice of probably next week on Smackdown. I'm Bryon, and joining me in this endeavor is someone who had fun on Monday when Sami Zayn lost the title, Mike. Say hi, Mike.
Yeah, I was going to say it was probably the most predictable outcome as soon as we saw the bottom pixels of CM Punk's boots. As soon as you saw that first star, you were like, yeah, it's over, bro. Pack it up, Sammy.
Sami is cooked.
Pack it up, Sammy, you're done. So,
Man.
yep.
9 days. 9 days as champion as Sami Zayn. What?
This is exactly how they're going to treat LA Knight when they give LA Knight a title. Right? Because people have been complaining for years to give Sami Zayn a title. And Triple H is like, all right, you know what? We always listen to the fans! And then you give Sami Zayn the title, but you only give it to him for 9 minutes, or 9 days, Jesus. That's how it's going to happen in LA Knight.
Yeah.
Is LA Knight is going to only have it for, in a week.
Yeah. I mean, this is definitely one of those, monkey paw situations kind of deal. It's like, are you really sure that you want LA Knight to be champion? I almost said CM Punk, lol. But yeah, Unk is back as undisputed WWE champion, and Sami Zayn is back to crashing out after every loss. Oh, and the cycle repeats. Yeah. And so, we had the Smackdown with a brand new champion because on Raw, Nick Aldis had to take a bit of a holiday, and so Adam Pearce had the bright idea of having someone defend their title on Raw. By the way, where is this same energy for Roman Reigns and Liv Morgan, bro? Like, you have Sami Zayn defend his title, but you don't have Roman Reigns and Liv Morgan do the same? What is this crap, Adam Pearce? What is this? What a terrible GM.
I don't get it. Like, Liv Morgan isn't going to be defending her title until SummerSlam, which is crazy. Same with Roman, too. And it's like, Adam Pearce really is like the hypocritical king in this situation because he both the titles in this show never get defended, and then he's like, you know what, we're gonna have the SmackDown title defended on my show. Bro, maybe have your title defended first, but we're saving those for SummerSlam, I guess. So, but it turns out, I guess, the rumors were right all along. So far, they said that it was going to be Oba and Brock at SummerSlam. That's correct. They said it was going to be Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, which was correct. So, if we're going to continue with the rumors again,
wow,
it's probably going to be Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk at SummerSlam, which leaves Sami Zayn out in the lurch.
Yikes. I mean, that's what you get when you... How long has he been in the company? Like 10 years?
I think so. Yeah.
15?
You count NXT, yeah.
Also, speaking of, I don't know, the loyalty not being paid, I guess. I don't know. I was trying to find a transition here. Apparently, Sheamus is no longer with the WWE. He has been kind of out of the company. I think it was due to a pay dispute, but Sheamus has been let go by the WWE. And I guess it just goes to show that all the old timers in the company, everyone who has been loyal to the company for 15, 20 years, you will be rewarded with 9-day title reigns and getting booted out. So, yeah. It really is about the future, Mike. It really is about the future.
It really is about the future, so we're going to give the title to a 43-year-old CM Punk. Nice of Sami Zayn to put over the young talent.
Sami Zayn is like 37, right? I don't know. I'm pretty sure he's younger than CM Punk, but not by much, is what I'm betting. So, or guessing, whatever. Anyway, this is not a show where we talk about old people, even though CM Punk is the champion of SmackDown. But it is a show where we try to book and predict the next episode of SmackDown, and we try to do it according to these rules. And after we tell you what we think will happen in the next episode of Friday Night SmackDown from beginning to end, we will share our points after we watch the actual next episode of Friday Night SmackDown, and we score our predictions and bookings based on this scoring system. And then we tell you, like I said earlier, what we got, and we do this all over again. So, scores. I got 4 points because of Sami Zayn, Cody, Carmelo, and Trick Williams appearing in their respective segments. What about you, Mike?
I believe I got 6 points. I got 3 from the initial Sami Zayn promo, where Cody Rhodes showed up along with what they talked about. I got 2 points from Brie Bella beating one of the members of Fatal Influence. You can count that as being cheap, but I genuinely do not know who is in Fatal Influence. They all look the same. And then we have a backstage segment between Sami Zayn and Johnny Gargano.
All right. Well done. Very good. Let's see if that luck continues. But first, let's take a look at what's announced for the next episode. I think we only have 2. That being Trick Williams versus Carmelo Hayes, which is a non-title match for some reason. And then we have Finn Balor versus Tama Tonga. And I think that's it. Yeah? Am I missing something?
I didn't. Oh, I forgot about the Carmelo Hayes and the Trick Williams fight. But I think what was also announced was a winner-take-all tag team match between the War Raiders, who are the AAA tag team champions, and Damian Priest and R-Truth.
All right, I think that should be in there. I think it is on my card. So
this is the go-home show for Saturday Night's Main Event, right? Or is that next week? I think it is. There are too many events in this calendar, Brian. I'm pretty sure. Oh man.
All I know is that Saturday Night's Main Event, we're getting Danhausen versus JD McDonough, bro. That's going to be a great match.
No, it is next week. Okay. It is next week.
Yeah. Yep. All right. I guess, yeah, as we head into the next sort of event, which is Saturday Night's Main Event. And, yeah. All right. Well, with that, I guess, let's book this thing and head to my version of the show first. As CM Punk walks to the ring, Mr. Unk himself. CM Punk, he says his good old-fashioned trademark phrase. Isn't it great to be alive on a Friday night in whatever city or what? I don't know why I said it that way, but, whatever. He says that he was contacted by one Nick Aldis to take the opportunity of challenging Sami to a match in the main event on Raw for Sami's title because, and he sort of echoes what he said to Cody a couple weeks ago, you never know when that kind of opportunity falls upon your lap. He says that he is now in the SmackDown roster as a champion and that he will treat the title the same way as he did the World Heavyweight Championship. He will defend it as best he can, as frequently as he can, unlike that chump Roman Reigns, who doesn't even have a title match for months and is defending it at SummerSlam, that part-timer. He then says that whoever challenges Punk will have the biggest night of his life because he's going up against the best in the world, and he better not miss. I don't know what else to say there. So might as well take it from Carmelo Hayes. He is interrupted by good old Cody Rhodes, who congratulates him, but he then pesters him and sort of talks about the offer regarding that title. He says that, I did the same to you when I was champion. Now you better do the same to me. And I want that title. and I want a match against you at SummerSlam for that title. And, Cody still wants it, so there you go. However, he is then interrupted by an angry Sami Zayn, who crashes out. He kind of swears a lot. He blames Punk for taking the opportunity and beating him. He takes his anger out on Cody being a Nepo baby, being first in line for that title, Punk and Cody being friends and all that. An argument breaks out between Sami and Cody. This leads Sami Zayn to sucker punch Cody and leave. There's no choice but to turn Sami heel at this point. With the amount of losses that he took, and I think with the sort of fact that Punk... I don't think Punk is ever going to be a heel at this point. I think he's just going to stay a babyface forever at this point. So I think Sami Zayn, it's time to turn him heel. And, Anyway, Punk speaks to Sami, asking if he wants a rematch. And if so, he will see him at Saturday night's main event at MSG. So I think that is going to be the match at Saturday night's main event. Sami versus CM Punk for the Undisputed WWE Championship one more time. And CM Punk will win that one. He will keep the title. And that's it. And after that, Sami will just, feud with Gunther, I guess. Meanwhile, Punk and Cody will be at the top spot at SummerSlam. I also read some theories about it being a multi-man match between Sami versus Cody versus Punk. Even some people are speculating that we're adding Gunther into the mix and we're going to make it a fatal four-way. And to that I say, that is terrible. I do not want multi-man matches for the top title in the company. I wanted a simple one-on-one match or maybe a triple threat now and again. But I wanted a one-on-one because it is the top title in the company. You should have the best feud on there between the best people. And yeah, that's what I think. So I think it'll be Sami versus Punk at Saturday night's main event. And it will be, Punk versus Cody at SummerSlam. So there you go. Backstage, we got Solo Sikoa talking with Royce Keys about Jacob Fatu and what he did on Raw. He says that Payback is coming to him soon. Jimmy is there too to hype up that match, I guess. I think Solo versus Jacob is going to be a match on Raw. If not, maybe at Saturday night's main event. I don't know what we're doing with Royce Keys. We're just confining him to backstage segments at this point. What the hell? We're also putting him in this bloodline vortex, and I don't think it's helping him, so I don't know. I don't know what we're doing with Royce Keys, guys. I don't know what we're doing. So, yeah. Brie Bella takes on JC Jane, who is 1/3 of Fatal Influence. This is to hype up, the Women's Tag Team Championship match. I will have Brie Bella win by pinfall due to 50-50 booking goodness. After the match, Fatal Influence beats up Brie and Paige. They get their titles, race it to the audience and them, and leave. So I think I'm still sticking by the theory that Nikki Bella comes back as her night's main event at MSG to cost Fatal Influence their shot and have Brie and Paige retain their titles. So there you go. Danhausen is backstage, and Matt Cardona and him fool around while someone from the Judgment Day gets mad. They come in, they're like, yo, where's our money? And Danhausen is like, no. And The Miz and Kay Wilson are there. Jade Cargill is up next. Jade and the baddies talk about their feud with Charlotte and Alexa. He says they're both a bunch of that need to be removed. She also mentions that Chelsea Green and Tiffany Stratton are also inserting themselves into this nonsense, which is something that they shouldn't do, because BFAB and Michin are somehow better than them. She is then interrupted by Charlotte and Alexa, who make fun of Jade and the baddies. A brawl ensues between the teams. Tiffany takes care of Jade, and honestly, I don't know what they're really, doing with Jade and the baddies. It seems like they're just trying to put them on lots of multi-woman conflicts before, I don't know, putting them in the women's tag team situation, I guess. Maybe we're doing another match between Jade and Tiffany at SummerSlam, or maybe, oh god, a 6-woman tag at Saturday Night's Main Event? Oh god. Not good either. I don't know. I don't know what we're doing with Tiffany or Jade, but if that is really what we're doing, which is to put them in another match for the Women's US Championship, then I don't want it. So, oh well. I don't know. I don't know what we're doing. Trick Williams, please save me from that. He takes on Carmelo Hayes in a non-title match. I think this will be a good match in that episode. But because I love Carmelo and I do want Carmelo to win, I will basically put him as the winner by pinfall. And this will make official at SummerSlam, Trick Williams versus Carmelo Hayes. I hope this is the match. If we are going for a multi-man match where we insert Ricky Saints on there, I guess that also works. But this is SummerSlam. I want Trick Williams versus Carmelo Hayes because it is a big money match. It is a personal match between the two, much like Punk versus Cody. If they are going with it, I think it'll be a great match as well, if it is for the title. So, there you go. Chelsea Green is backstage. She talks about what happened to Jade and the baddies earlier. She is then confronted by Jade and the baddies, who attack her. Tiffany, however, is nowhere to be found. So, I am also predicting a Tiffany heel turn a little bit, later in the year. And she abandons the friendship at Chelsea at some point in the future, maybe around Survivor Series in the dreaded War Games match for the women. I think we are going to have Jade and the baddies and maybe some Judgment Day people taking on, Charlotte and Alexa, and we'll put in Tiffany and some other people too who don't like the Judgment Day. We'll put them in the Women's War Games match, and then that's where Tiffany sort of turns heel and sort of costs the faces, or the face team, the win. So, I guess that's what they're going for. I don't know. At this point, I don't really care. So, if it does happen, then I guess I'm right. I don't know. Finn Balor takes on Tama Tonga up next. We're going to have Finn Balor win by pinfall. After the match, Tama and Tala beat him up and leave. So, I think Finn will have to think of a person to tag with at some point. Maybe a Rhea Phoenix, or maybe someone who has faced Tama and Tala before. Maybe the Wyatt Six. Oh, wait. And, someone needs to tag with Finn. Maybe we're on the verge of a brand new faction where, Finn is sort of the leader of this new faction. Maybe it'll be the Judgment Day 2.0 or Judgment Day but better, I guess. I don't know. But it seems to be going that way. I think, we're getting Finn Balor versus Tala Tonga after this, probably. And then maybe Tama and Tala will join Finn Balor, and make a new faction, maybe. I don't know, but I do think that Finn Balor is not going to be alone here on SmackDown. I think he is going to eventually create a new faction with a couple people, and it'll probably be better than the Judgment Day. So, yeah. Main event, R-Truth and Damian Priest take on the War Raiders in a winner-take-all match. Whoever wins gets the AAA Tag Team Championship and the WWE Tag Team Championship. And I will have War Raiders win by pinfall because they are an actual tag team. R-Truth and Damian Priest. Damian Priest is going to AAA for some reason. Maybe because he's Latino. Okay, fine. But does that mean R-Truth and Damian Priest are no longer a tag team? I don't know. I don't watch AAA, so I don't know. But, yeah, I think the War Raiders are going to get it. They're an actual tag team, and they're a good tag team. Whereas R-Truth and Damian Priest, I don't know. If they want the tag team division to be reinvigorated, or whatever the hell they want to put it, then better put the belt on the War Raiders, and that is that. Maybe, put in some new tag teams on there. Maybe highlight the divisions on SmackDown and Raw, and make people care about them, and make them more than personality-less kind of two people put them together. So, yeah, War Raiders win. That is the show, in my version. And any questions?
So I have an unorthodox question for you. Two, actually. One, do you think Danhausen gets put in any legitimate title contention at some points? I saw a graphic the other day, so I mean, I've seen a lot of opinions online from people saying that, right now WWE only really cares about the big money draws, like the dime drawers, as the kids say nowadays. And those being, Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Rhea Ripley, those people. But I saw online that at WrestleMania weekend, the top 3 merch sellers were in this order. It was CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, and Danhausen. So, I know we say LA Knight has a lot of momentum, Chad Gable has a lot of momentum, but I think that's really just from the smarks, like you and I. But I feel that Danhausen has more momentum than those two, but it's not talked about because he's a meme. So do you feel that Danhausen is going to get a legitimate push to some title? Obviously not a world title. If he gets a world title before LA Knight, I might start watching AEW. I know I say this a lot. I know I say that a lot too, but that would be fucking hilarious. And he should quit right away and just go work for AEW. Anyway, do you think he'll get a legitimate push at any point, Brian?
So I think with Danhausen, the biggest, I guess, concern for the WWE is that I think Danhausen, as a gimmick, has a bit of a shelf life. I think that, Danhausen, he's a comedic wrestler. He can make people laugh. That's cool. But how long is that going to last, right? How long are people going to sort of tolerate that kind of, comedic gimmick until it gets stale and old? And then compound that with, him winning a title and he's a comedic kind of wrestler. It's like, well, why take the title seriously if Danhausen is holding it? You know what I'm saying? So that's the sort of biggest question that WWE needs to sort of answer. And for now, I think they're, putting a sweet balance of appearances with Danhausen. You're putting him in a few matches, not too much, but just enough to have the people say, okay, he can wrestle. Okay, fine, that's cool. And then you also have the added comedic gimmick of him, having these tall, well, soon to be tall wrestlers, and even, smaller wrestlers, wrestle for him. And that's cool. He's fun. Cool, fine. But do I think that that's going to eventually get him to a title? I don't think so. I think it's because of the fact that he is a meme, or a comedic wrestler. I think that someone like Joe Hendry has a bit of a longer shelf life than Danhausen, because I think Joe Hendry, his sort of whole thing is just, sure, he's a meme, but he can also, he can wrestle and he can sing. And I think that his wrestling ability is actually better than, and I know, it doesn't get showcased in main roster, unfortunately. But I think that Joe Hendry is a better wrestler than Danhausen. And say what you will about, Joe Hendry being a meme, but I think he can be serious, from time to time. And he can definitely pull off that kind of seriousness. Whereas Danhausen, I don't really expect him to be kind of serious. And I don't think WWE will put him in that situation where he has to be serious. I think he is always going to be that sort of, comedic spot in WWE. And he will stay that way as long as he is profitable and he is, putting the fun in the shows. So I think that Danhausen is just going to stay as a comedic wrestler, and that's fine. But if they decide to put a title on him, I think there's going to be a perception issue from, the internet fans and probably even the casual fans saying, why should I take this seriously now? It's on Danhausen. Right? Like, imagine him holding an undisputed WWE championship. Obviously, it's a bit of an impossibility in my opinion, but that alone is just perception-wise not good. That, to some people, that's like David Arquette holding the WCW championship. Like, that's not a good idea. Right? So, yeah, I think that, Danhausen is just going to stay, for now, titleless. And probably forever titleless at this point. And WWE needs to answer how they can evolve Danhausen, how they can make Danhausen fresh in this sort of environment. Because people can get tired of Danhausen, so...
Yeah, okay, that's valid. Do you foresee any tag team unifications coming on the men's side? I know I've said this for a while, but it really seems like, at least on Smackdown, the tag team scene has stagnated. It seems like that nothing is going on anymore. It's not even really showcased. I know they have the War Raiders back. They have Fraxium. That's really it.
Yeah.
I don't know where they go from here.
So, from the rumors, I've been hearing that they want to bring Enzo and Big Cass on, and I think you highlighted this a couple of weeks earlier, and a couple other tag teams as well. Listen, if they want to take tag team wrestling seriously and highlight it, then, actions speak louder than words. I mean, let's put, the tag teams on here. And frankly, a unification match at this point in the game is a much better idea than keeping the tag team titles separate on the shows. Do I think WWE will do it? Absolutely not. I think they will keep them separate on the shows and just put a band-aid on this by just putting a bunch of tag teams from AAA, TNA, NXT, even, they have resources to just supplant these tag teams that are let go, like the New Day and More City Machine Guns, and all these other tag teams that left. They're like, we all have these new tag teams. Let's just put them on the shows. There you go. And is that going to work? It depends on the tag team, but it also depends on their willingness to book tag team matches and highlight tag team wrestling. And at this point, I still don't think that they care about tag team wrestling, despite the contrary in, their interviews or their articles. I don't believe it. So unless they do something, it's unfortunately, it's not going to, matter to the company or to the people who's, consuming the product. So, yeah, in my opinion, no tag team unification, and WWE is not going to put a spotlight on tag team wrestling unless I see otherwise from this company. So
yeah, I would like to see unification match, just kind of make things interesting again, but I really don't see them doing that because more belts equal more merch because you have more champions. So
Yeah, I mean we have the women's equivalent of the U.S. Championship. We have the women's equivalent of the Tag Team Championship. They're putting more focus on the women's tag team championship side, and we've already highlighted this, but I'm reiterating it. But they're putting more focus on the women's tag team side than the men's tag team side, which is, in my opinion, like, all right, it's cool that we have women's tag teams, but like, what the hell? Where is the balance here? So, I don't know. I don't think they're going to. I don't think they're going to do it. Despite it being a good idea, like unification of the tag team belts, good idea. Like the women's tag team belts are kind of unified by default, technically. Like you can carry it to NXT, Raw, and SmackDown. Why not do the same to the men's tag teams? I don't know. It seems stupid, but I don't think they'll fix that. So, unless I see otherwise, this company does not care about tag team wrestling. So,
I think I'm ready for my predictions.
all right, let's move on to your card then. Starting off with,
Okay, we have a creative manager, Punk, coming down for a promo fresh off of his win on Monday Night Raw, taking the championship from Sami Zayn, who had a very memorable and legendary reign lasting exactly 9 days. He comes down, says his typical shtick, and goes off saying, "You never know when a championship opportunity is going to fall out of the sky," which he said a few months ago, right after losing his title to Roman Reigns to Cody Rhodes on SmackDown, and here he is on SmackDown with the belt. He is interrupted by one Sami Zayn. Comes out. He is very upset. Sami tells CM Punk that, again, he does the whole Karen complaining, where he comes in and he says, I've been here for 15 years, and I worked every day, and I only got one shot at it, and you get to come in at the last minute because Cody was injured, and he comes off as very complainy and whiny, and I think this is starting to build his heel character a little bit. Sami then demands a rematch at Saturday night's main event. Punk is mulling it over because he does like to be a working champion, but this is not the working champion's title. This is the WWE title, so it's a bit more prestigious, supposedly. But then they are both interrupted by Gunther. Gunther comes down and tells Sami that he is next in line. Sami already had his shot. He won and he lost. There is a brawl that ensues. CM Punk sort of gets out of the ring. Sami and Gunther go at it. Gunther attacks CM Punk. So they're all in it. Security separate them, and that is how this segment ends. So going into the backstage segment after this, Gunther is backstage. There's Nick Aldis, and Nick Aldis came back last week, actually, on Smackdown. No, Raw. Sorry, he came back on Raw, I'm pretty sure.
yeah, he came back on Raw.
He came back on Raw, yes. Okay, so he came back on Raw. So he is back, but I think he's still on temporary leave. I don't know how this works. But he came back, and so he's back on his show as the manager. Adam Pearce is there, just because the whole Sami Zayn situation. So they're discussing things, because Nick Aldis obviously isn't too thrilled with what happened on SmackDown. Gunther comes up to them trying to get a title match. Nick Aldis obviously not happy to see Gunther. Adam Pearce says he is technically still in charge because Nick Aldis is not in charge of SmackDown yet. That is next week. So Gunther asks him for a title shot at Saturday night's main event. Nick Aldis says no, we can't have this. Sami Zayn then comes in asking for a rematch. And Adam Pearce, being Adam Pearce and not wanting to do anything for his show, says, all right, you know what? Fuck it. We're going to have another. Geez, man, I'm really fucking up here. It's too hot. It's too damn hot up here. We're having another number one contendership match tonight in the main event between Sami Zayn and Gunther. So, yes, sir. Obafemi continues to not have a title shot despite winning the one pay-per-view match that would give him a guaranteed title shot. And we're just going to give it to other people because that makes sense. After this, it is Tama Tonga versus Finn Balor. These are two former members of the Bullet Club, or so I've read online. I don't know anything about the Bullet Club. I don't watch Japanese wrestling, but I was told that by the internet, so it must be true. I think that Tama Tonga wins here thanks to help from Tama Tonga. I think there's going to be a basic 50-50 booking here. I don't see this going much farther, unless Finn Balor, like you said, teams up with someone else, maybe like a Rey Fenix or a Dragon Lee. I don't know who else he would team up with, because there really is no one else for him to team up with on SmackDown that would face the division. Maybe Shinsuke. Maybe Shinsuke can come back. Is Shinsuke still employed? Or is he like...
I have no idea.
Okay. I thought he was. I thought he was.
I assume he's probably in main event.
I think he might be. So maybe he teams up with Shinsuke. That'd be a very interesting pairing because they were all formerly in Japan together. So that would be an interesting pairing. But yeah, I think Tama wins this week, and then maybe Finn Balor wins next week. They really need to get Finn Balor into a title scene at some point down the line, because he definitely deserves it. But like most other people in this company, they're not going to get it. Maybe they will, but it'll only be for about 10 days. So, next, obligatory Danhausen backstage segment. This is basically free parking at this point. Danhausen is confronted by Dominic and JD backstage on the way to his laboratory. I don't know how he manages to set up a laboratory each week in different stadiums, but whatever. They stop him in the hallway. They confront him asking again for the money. Dominic threatens him to uncurse JD. Danhausen says he's not going to uncurse JD unless he decides that JD should be uncursed. Dominic and JD then beat up Danhausen, but he is saved by one Matt Cardona, Mr. Jobber himself, comes and saves Danhausen, and this leads to a match later in the evening. After this, we have another 50-50 booking match. We have Paige versus someone from Fatal Influence. I'm actually reading now that the match at Saturday night's main event is going to be Laney Reed and Fallon Henley, whoever those two are. Are those real people? Or are they AI generated? I don't know. I think Laney Reed fought last week, so it's probably going to be Fallon Henry versus Paige this week. And I think that
I think Fallon Henley was last week.
She was?
Laney Reed was 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so it probably is going to be Laney Reed this week, I presume. Or maybe the other one, whoever the third member is, versus Paige. And I think that Paige wins this one because they are going to lose next week at Saturday night's main event. I think I had this match because I thought it was actually this week and not next week, but whatever. I think they're going to lose. I think Fatal Influence take the titles, and yeah. We'll see what they can do with the tag team titles, because Lord knows that there's a couple other women's tag teams that would like to take it from them. Next, Matt Cardona versus Dominic Mysterio. So this is stemming from the Danhausen feud. Matt Cardona being a jobber, he obviously loses this one to Dominic. Dominic wins, I think, via a roll-up. Danhausen does get involved, but he's only there to take out JD McDonough, and then Dominic uses the distraction to roll up Matt Cardona and win. I think this is because Danhausen is going to go over at Madison Square Garden because, He's going to have an insane amount of popularity in that stadium for obvious reasons. I'm actually thinking maybe like Jalen Brunson gets involved at some point as well, which will basically cement him as a New York sports hero. To my dismay, I'm not having a great week when it comes to sports, but this is a sports entertainment podcast, so I can't complain about it. Anyway, where does Danhausen go from here? I don't know. I honestly would like to see him in like a title scene, like IC title or US title. It would be very funny, but I think he continues being comedy jobber, as over as he is. Okay, backstage segments. The final one of this show. Alexa Bliss confronts Tiffany Stratton. So Alexa Bliss has had a few disagreements with Charlotte Flair when it comes to her teaming up with Tiffany Stratton and Chelsea Green. Alexa Bliss confronts Tiffany, trying to see if this is actual genuine friendship from her or if she has some other ulterior motive. Tiffany tells her that she's just here because she wants to take out Jade, who has been causing a whole bunch of problems along with Michin and B-Fab for them, and she should help Tiffany because Jade is a bitch. Her words, not mine. And I think this is going to be sowing the seeds for a potential Charlotte Flair heel turn and a eventual Alexa Bliss versus Charlotte Flair match, which will probably take place at WrestleMania. So, okay, we have the winner-take-all tag team match next. This is the War Raiders, who are the AAA tag team champions, versus Damian Priest and R-Truth, who are the WWE tag team champions. I think the War Raiders win this one via pinfall. The only reason I say they do is because Damian Priest is starting a singles run in AAA for some reason. I don't know why, but he is. I think because he speaks Spanish, so therefore he's able to start a run in AAA. Speaking of AAA, Brian, I don't know if you saw this on Twitter, but I guess someone had shared a video of El Grande Americano at Mexico's World Cup game.
Yeah. And
WWE reshared it, and in X it has this feature where it shows who the original video sharer was. And the person, after realizing their video was shared by WWE, changed their name, I think, to All In Fuck TKO.
Yeah.
which is a nice level of pettiness that I haven't seen in a while, since the Monday Night Wars. So it's good to see that spirit is still alive. I think the War Raiders win. You have Fraxium there. I think you said they're going to bring up some guys that were coming from AEW or NXT or something like that. So maybe you will have an interesting tag team scene in SmackDown, but remains to be seen. I would like to see a unification match because we've reduced the number of tag teams significantly over the past couple of weeks. So after this, we have Sami Zayn versus Gunther. This is the main event. This is a number one contendership match for the WWE Championship, and I think that Gunther wins this one via submission, and it is going to be Gunther versus CM Punk at Saturday night's main event in Madison Square Garden. It's Madison Square Garden, and you need the big money draws, and according to Triple H, Sami Zayn is not one of those big money draws. Well, unless he's in Saudi Arabia, that is. So, why do I have this result? Well, I think I've figured out the paths that people are going to be taking going in SummerSlam. So I think the path on Raw, obviously, is Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. That's pretty obvious. I think that for the SmackDown title, I think you're going to have CM Punk, Cody Rhodes. That's pretty obvious, given the rumors and how the ones previous have been correct. So where does this leave Sami and Gunther? So I think that CM Punk retains at Saturday night's main event, thanks to interference from Nick Aldis. So Nick Aldis has had some physical confrontations with Gunther ever since he's been on SmackDown, and I think that he causes Gunther to lose. And then there is a Gunther versus Nick Aldis fights at SummerSlam, which is fucking crazy. But I've seen this rumor all over the place, and I think there is some credibility to it. So what happens to Sami? Well, I think Sami goes away for a little bit. I think he misses SummerSlam. I don't see him getting involved in a feud at any point. Maybe he does feud with Gunther. I can tell you that it's either going to be Nick Aldis or Sami Zayn feuding with Gunther. The reason I think it's going to be Nick Aldis is because I think Sami is going to turn heel. I think he comes back after SummerSlam and fights whoever the winner of the CM Punk and Cody Rhodes fight is. Or maybe he goes on Raw. Who knows? But the difficulty about that, though, is I feel that recently this company has had difficulty trying to book, align the people against each other. So we have, a face versus face. We don't really see that anymore. So I don't know what they're going to do. It's difficult to book Sami Zayn. So yeah, that is my card.
Okay. I have a couple of questions, and first I will start with the observation that yes, it is true that Tama Tonga and Tal Tonga are former members of the Bullet Club. I think Finn Balor was the founder of the Bullet Club, so yeah, that's the history there. So it is true. The internet is telling you the truth there. I just wanna clarify, okay? I know the internet lies sometimes, but
thank you. Yes, yes, thank you.
Yeah, I watch New Japan, or used to anyway, so I do know that. Okay, so here's a question for you. I've been seeing this sort of, I guess, reaction online. This goes more about CM Punk and Sami Zayn, I guess. A lot of people are drawing comparisons between CM Punk and Hulk Hogan. They're saying that CM Punk is sort of this guy who will come on down, after a couple of months of absence, he'll get called upon to just sweep another opportunity or sweep this sort of title from someone who has worked, for a long time in the company. They're sort of comparing it to a sort of, Hulk Hogan, Bret Hart, I guess, like Yokozuna kind of situation. Do you think?
I saw that.
Do you believe that? Yeah. Do you believe that CM Punk is like Hulk Hogan at this point, or do you think these reactions are kind of exaggerated?
So I don't think it's him that's causing this reaction himself, right? I mean, obviously he has some pull in what he wants to do because he's a big name. I think, moreover, it is this company's motive that they want to create viral moments. They want to create big moments that are super popular online to get eyes on the product, and they don't really care about telling a long and intriguing story or building talent up from the ground to be the next generation of talent to supersede the current generation. At least at this point, right? They don't tend to do breakthrough stories anymore, at least as far as I've seen. I mean, maybe we have Obafemi because it's Obafemi, and he's a big guy. If you're tall, then you actually get that opportunity. So, but anyway, I think it's just because he's a big name. I think that they see the top title on the brand, and they say, okay, this can only be held by, the top draws, right? So Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Gunther, Roman Reigns, right? Those are like the four guys. I think Randy Orton. those are the 5 guys who can hold this title for a significant period of time. The World Championship, the one that Roman currently has, I think is their B level championship, and that's why people say that Raw has been sort of the better show, at least in the main event scene, because it seems like that show they tend to have a more unpredictable, who's going to actually challenge for this title kind of scene, whereas on SmackDown it's like Cody wins, lol. So to answer your question, I don't think it's CM Punk himself being like, that doesn't work for me, brother. I think it's this company and Triple H saying that in order to, we're going to SummerSlam, this is the main title of our company, the face of the company. We need it to be a big money draw, and Sami Zayn is not that. So
true. I mean, definitely, and I could also, draw the line between, Sami Zayn. He's in, Saudi Arabia loves Sami Zayn, so might as well put the title on him. And then now you're going to Chicago, and it's like, okay, well, CM Punk's gonna be there, so, they're all about giving these hometown folk moments and giving, the fans who are in the arena, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I think that this over reliance on moments rather than sort of letting the story kind of draw itself out, and sometimes they do this too long to a detriment, but letting it sort of pace itself, and then they're sort of guiding it rather than letting it slowly draw out, and then you're just overcooking the dang thing at this point. Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. And, that's what they're kind of doing at the moment, for sure. I also don't agree with the whole Hulk Hogan reaction. I think it's overblown. I think it's kind of nonsensical, but it is reflective of, WWE and their style of booking now, and how it affects fans, to have stuff like this draw a reaction like that at this point. So, yeah. Anyway, that was like the biggest question I have. I do have smaller questions here, so I guess we'll run through them. The first, do you think that Nick Aldis wins against Gunther? Or is this going to be this sort of like Nick Aldis retirement match? Like after this, Nick Aldis won't wrestle anymore? That kind of deal? Is that what you're trying with?
yeah, I could see that. I could see that. I could see Gunther winning a retirement match against Nick Aldis, and then Nick Aldis becomes a manager. Maybe you have a run-in from another face to help Nick Aldis, fight off Gunther. Maybe Gunther wins the match, goes for like a post-match beatdown, and then maybe like a Chad Gable or a Finn Balor run-in to help Nick Aldis. Maybe you could do that, but I think that he wins. So.
All right, and another one here. So, do you believe? Well, I pitched this sort of faction for Finn Balor. I'm not sure if you mentioned it before, but do you think a new faction? Do you think Finn Balor, considering he founded the Judgment Day as well, so he founded 2 factions in his life, or career, I should say. Do you think a new faction is in line for Finn Balor at this point, or do you think he's just going to be a tag team sort of guy?
Wasn't it Edge that founded the Judgment Day?
Oh, right. Okay, it is one faction then.
I don't think he does at this point. I don't think there's enough talent on SmackDown to do so, unless he maybe like teams up with the Tongas and reforms like a Temu Bullet Club.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I guess last question. Do you think that Sami Zayn sort of taking time off after losing, to Gunther and all these other folks, and then coming back at the Royal Rumble, and then he gets his title again at WrestleMania? Do you think that is still in the cards for Sami Zayn, or do you think that?
I do think so. I do think so. I think that he wins at the Rumble in Saudi, or not the Rumble. I think maybe either Elimination Chamber or the Rumble, and I think he goes for the World Heavyweight title and not the WWE title.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I think that's definitely much better than chasing the Undisputed, honestly. But I think Roman will still hold it at that point. So, maybe Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns again. Run it back. But, okay. Fair enough. Well, that's all we got for what we think will happen on the next episode of Friday Night Smackdown. And as I stated earlier, we'll watch the next episode of Friday Night Smackdown when it drops. We'll score our predictions and bookings based on, the scoring system outlined earlier. And then we'll come back here on the next episode of the show. We'll give you what we got, and we'll do this whole thing all over again. So until then, thank you for ordering a slice of probably next week on SmackDown from Grapperinos. And remember, if you're down for some fresh, oven-baked, crispy wrestling content, stop on by Grapperinos and order yourself some content you can grapple with. See you next time, everybody.